Hi all, my name is Hussein Zoraku and I'm one of your graduate assistants working with Dr. Weaver. And today I'll be lecturing on Baptists in India, particularly with the Nagas. I am an international student and I am a Naga from India. So you will hear some of the insider story from my lecture. I hope you will enjoy and learn something new today. Yeah, here we go. So, as you can see, this is the Sumi Baptist Church in India, and as you have read in your readings, that Nagaland has the largest church building in Asia. So this is a Baptist church in India. Before moving forward, let's take a look at the data about religions in Asia. So the blue color denotes Christians in Asia. And as you can see, this is a data that was taken in 2010 by the Center for the Study of Global Christianity. And there are very few dots, as you can see in the picture. So, yeah, this is religion in Asia. This is a slide about the presence of Christians in Asia, which was taken this year in 2020. So the presence of Christianity in Asia has been denoted in this picture by the weightage of the color of the blue. And as you can see, there are very few Christians in Asia. Before I talk about the history of the Baptists in India, let me share a brief history about the Christian presence in India. Before the birth of Jesus Christ, the Jewish people were already living in the southern part of South India. So when the apostles went about sharing the gospel, they first went to the Jewish and to the Gentiles. So that's how they came to South India. So the Christians in Asia, in India, is as old as Christianity is. Most of the study of the church history in India has been studied under the lens of this early church. However, in this lecture, I hope to talk about the current trend, particularly on the growth of Christianity in the northeast part of India. So as you can see in the picture here, there are three places where it's very dark and blue. So, yeah, so those three places in the northeast part of India are provinces with almost 100% Christian. So yes, let's talk about the Baptist work in India now. William Carey was the first Baptist missionary to India from Britain. He is also called the father of the modern Protestant mission. And through his ministry in India, various social evil practices were abolished. So he has been a huge blessing for people in India. William Carey, with his partners Marchman and William Ward, they established Serampur Mission in India as a branch of the English Baptist Mission in January 1800. Serampur is a place not very far from Kolkata, which is in West Bengal. And Serampur was considered as one of the first university in India, which is also very much recognized even today. William Carey, in his pamphlet An Inquiry into the Obligations of the Christians to Use Means for the Conversion of Heathens, emphasized the necessity of converting the heathens to useful members of society and how they should be reached out to only in their native language. By heathens here, Carey means the non-believers who were living in India and the neighboring countries. During 1801 and 32, he translated the Bible into Bengali and other 40 languages, including one in Assamese. Assamese language are spoken by people living in the northeast part of India in one province. So Krishna Pal was one of the earliest converts of William Carey, and he was considered to be the first person to bring the gospel in the northeast part of India. towards Northeast India and look at the work of the Baptist mission in northeast part of India, particularly in Nagaland. So this is the map of India, and as you can see in the eastern part of India, below China and near Myanmar and above Bangladesh, this is called the northeast part of India, and this is Nagaland. I am sure some of you might be wondering, hey, this dude doesn't look like an Indian. He looks more like Asian, Chinese. So yes, most of the northeast part of India look like me. We are Asians. Historically, we have been always a sovereign nation. We have nothing to do with Indian origin or culture. Our culture is very distinct from the rest part of India. We don't have caste system. We don't worship nature, or we don't worship the idols, as you can see in Hinduism. So let's move forward further. Talking about the background of the Nagas traditionally were headhunters. Headhunting was a culture of the Nagas where they chop the head of the enemies during wars or during raid from village to village. So headhunting was a practice. And also the Nagas were known for their warrior skills. And traditionally, the religion was monotheist. The Nagas don't worship idols, nor they worship the nature or the sun. The Nagas believe in a supreme unknown god. So that was the primary religion, and the Nagas are very religious. They have this idea of sanctification, the sacrifice, like in the Old Testament. So that was the primary religion. And so when Christianity was introduced, the Naga people easily accepted the idea of the Christian Yahweh God. As India was under the colony of British, after 1826, the colonial rulers felt the need of missionary influence. So the Baptists from England were working in India and in Burma. So at this time, the government agent of Assam, that was in northeast part of India, Francis Jenkins, he invited the Baptist missionaries from America to come and help. So at the invitation, 2 American Baptist missionaries from New England came on 1836, and they were Mrs. Brown and Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Cutter, and also later they were joined by Mr. and Mrs. Miles Bronson and Jacob Thomas. So the years from 1833 to 1837 have been called a notable period in the history of Baptist missions of America. The mission among the Siamese in Bangkok was established in 1833, and among the Telugus of South India in 1840, and the mission to the Shans in Assam in 1836. The first Baptist mission station in Northeast India were established for the purpose to evangelize these areas and also to set up a strategic outpost to reach the Shan tribes of Burma and to reach out to the southern part of China. So at this hour, they were not aware of the Naga people. So they were still under the mission of India, and that's how this missionary came to India. Reverend Miles Bronson was the first white American missionary to enter the soil of Nagaland, and he was considered to be the first missionary to reach out to the Naga people. Reverend Miles Bronson began his work among the Singpos and the Nagas from 1838 to 1841. He prepared a spelling book for each people group and also a catechism in the Naga language. Miles Bronson and his family, they went up to the hill and lived there in the jungle, and also because of the lack of proper food and accommodation, they lost their sister-in-law, and this was one of the reasons why they withdrew their mission back to Assam from the Naga hill. And all Naga chief came, bringing his son, and told them that, "Go, get well, come again, but by your return I shall be gone. My hair is ripe, yet here my sons, who will stand, pledged to be your friends." So this was a pledge made between the Nagas and the American missionaries. Because of the loss of Miles Bronson's sister-in-law, and also because of these factors, the mission was withdrawn. So we have very less evidence about the growth of the church from 1840 to 1872. So later on, another missionary, another couple by name E.W. Clark and his wife Mary Mead Clark comes, and they become the real pioneer and who laid the foundation for missions in the Naga soil. So this is the picture of Edward Winter and Mary Mead Clark, who came to Nagaland in 1872 and who laid the foundation for the growth of the church. Edward Winter Clark was born on a cold winter day on February 25th, 1832 in Northeast New York to Perry Clark. His middle name was in honor of their pastor, Reverend Thomas Winter. Perry Clark came from a rich family in which his grandfather, Ezra Clark, was a prosperous farmer with 800 acres of farmland. Caroline Winchell family were among the first settlers of Northeast America. The Winchell family had strong Baptist roots and spent much of their wealth to support the Baptist church in education. Winter Clark received his Master of Arts degree with honors from Brown University in Rhode Island in 1857, and he attended Newton Theological Seminary in Massachusetts for another master's degree from 1857 to 1858. The Brown University honored him with a Doctor of Divinity degree in 1901. So Clark and his wife Mary Mead Clark came to India without knowing that they were about to be used greatly in the Naga soil. So they were working as missionary in India in the Assam soil. So at that time, Mary Mead Clark first met the Nagas, and this was the comment that she wrote in her book about her first encounter with the Nagas. As cold season came around, hillmen came in for trade and sightseeing. Our press building, with its typesetting, printing, and binding of books, was for them the wonders of wonders. Some of the great men dressed in the military costumes came one day to our schoolhouse door and manifesting much interest in what we were doing. Were asked, "Wouldn't you like us to come up to your village and teach your children as you see this being taught?" A chief replied, "Yes, we will send our children to learn. But we hear that you take heads up there." "Oh yes, we do," he replied, and seizing a boy by the head, gave us in a quite harmless way of objects lesson of how they did it. So it was typical for the Naga people to come down from the hill to the plains of Assam for trade and also to raid the villages. So this was an incident where Mary Mead Clark's wife happened to meet the Nagas, and this was how they were introduced to the Naga people. So after their encounter with the Nagas, the Clarks started to have a heart to reach out to the Nagas, and they would often share with their fellow missionaries there that they have a desire to reach out to the Nagas, and they would also share with the Assamese Christians, the local Christians there in Assam, that they have this heart to reach out to them. But their response was very ironic. They would say, "Hey, the Nagas are savages. They fight among themselves from village to village, constantly cutting heads to get the skulls." So this was the response, because the local people knew that Nagas traditionally were headhunters. So Clark replied, which is very interesting, the voice of my departed Lord, go teach all nations, comes on the night ear, and awakes my ear, and I will go. So this was the words that the Holy Spirit was working in the heart of uh, Edward Winter Clark. So with the inspiration of the Holy Spirit to reach out to the Nagas, they wrote a letter back to America for support, but their request was denied. However, in spite of their denial of funding, the Clarks finally made a decision to go and reach out to the Nagas. And with the help of Assamese Christians, namely Godhula, they went to reach out the Nagas, and they came to the Naga soil in 1872. And that's how Clark and his wife pioneered the work of the church in our Naga tribe. And from that place, the Ao area, helping the church to grow, sharing the gospel, teaching the biblical doctrines. The Ao people, the local Naga tribe, played a vital role in spreading the gospel to the rest of the Naga people. Clark went back and retired in his old home in New York, and he died on March 18, 1913, and was buried in Armenia, New York. Another interesting fact about the Nagas, then the World War II was fought in my backyard. World War II was fought in Kohima and Manipur, which was considered one of the fierce battles fought in the World War II history, where the British and the Japanese fought. So after the World War II was over, many countries in the global south received independence from their colonial rulers. So likewise, Nagaland and India got their independence from the British rule. However, now the country, India, who was suppressed for hundreds of years, became the suppressor by taking almost the entire part of Northeast India. So at this hour, the Indian government sent its army to kill and took over the land. So many of the Nagas were killed, and many churches were burned down. My village was burned down for 7 times. My grandparents had to run to the jungle for survival. And at that time, my grandmother was pregnant, and my father was born in the jungle. So that's how we grew up hearing all these stories. However, at this time, Nagas experienced this polycentric revival. And this revival led to the tremendous growth of Christianity. So that's why today we have almost 100% Christian. As you have read in the reading, that there are more Baptists in Nagaland than Mississippi. So during this time, since there was no help from the outside world, the Nagas had to only rely upon God. So at this time, God started to work in the form of healing, miracles, supernatural providence, signs and wonders. There was no hospital. So at this hour, the non-Christian Nagas saw that the God of the Bible, the God of the Christians, was more powerful. They came to Christ. So there was mass conversion. So in 1963, the Nagas came under the Union of India. So during this period, there was a tremendous growth of Christianity. So in 1972, Billy Graham came to Nagaland, came to my hometown called Kohima, and he held a mega crusade. So at this hour, the Nagas witnessed another revival. We call that a second wave revival. So with the coming of Billy Graham, there was a growth of Christianity again. So when Billy Graham came to Nagaland in 1972, there was about 70% Christians. So now, 2020, we have almost 100% Christian today. So with the occurrence of the revival and the persecution of the Nagas, this was a period of mass conversion. Then this was a period where Christianity started to grow. Ever since the outbreak of the revival and the growth of Christianity in Nagaland, Nagaland has been playing a vital role for the growth of Christianity in India. In different part of India, you will find Naga Baptist missionaries pioneering in church work and other kinds of ministries, theological education, and different other kind of ministry. So today, by the grace of God, Nagaland is predominantly known as a Christian state and predominantly Baptist, and God has been using the people in a mighty way, and the Naga people are very missional, and they have this heart to reach out to different parts of India and also the different part of the South Asian countries. This is a typical picture of churches in Nagaland. At the top left is the largest church building in Asia today. I find it quite similar, walking around, or moving around the city of Waco, where there are a lot of churches. So that's something you will find in Nagaland. Yeah, so that's the history of the Baptist work in Nagaland and the status of the churches in Nagaland today. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture and have learned something. God bless you. Thank you.